There are 4 total marksman rifles inside Battlefield 6, and out of all the TTK videos, I was actually the most excited to make this one because when it comes to Battlefield 4, I enjoy playing with the marksman rifles the absolute most, but then I realized how bad I actually was at playing with the marksman rifles in Battlefield 6. So by skill issue aside, we're going to cover which one of the marksman rifles has the best TTKs and which ones you should be trying to unlock. We're not just going to cover TTKs in this video, we're also going to cover the damage values because I believe this is also very important. But there's also other stats that are going to come into consideration when it comes to marksman rifles in this game because they are a long range weapon. They should be used at range, and the way these actually work is that you will be kind of tap firing them quite slowly for the most part to make sure you're landing your shots, and damage values also factor into this. Weapon bloom also factors into this, recoil as well. But this is a TTK video at the end of the day, so we do want to cover those numbers, and all the numbers for this video were taken from battlefinity.gg as always. So now we have all 4 guns listed on screen just now, and we've added 2 extra columns to our usual. We've got the base damage values and the headshot damage values as well, which I find that are going to be really important when we discuss these weapons a bit later on. And then obviously in general, these numbers are a bit mumbo jumbo to you right now. They're not going to make too much sense until we start organizing these guns, but I do want to just talk about one thing quickly. We're not really going to consider anything from 0 to 40 meters because I'm going to be completely honest with you. Unless you're using one of these DMR weapons in particular, you're really going to be struggling to even get these time to kill values in the first place because you need to reach the max trigger cap of the rate of fire of all these guns to get these time to kill values. So they're kind of a bit misleading to some extent, but it also gives you a good idea, or if you are able to hit the trigger cap of these guns, how fast you can actually kill an enemy. So let's now organize for the 40 to 80 meter range for time to kill, which just so happens to be the exact same table for the 80 to 120 meter range. So the table does not change if you organize for the 2 last damage ranges for time to kill. And the LMR 27 comes out on top in both instances. Now the reason why this is important, and the time to kill itself might not be too important to you because you do need to reach the max fire rate of these guns to achieve this time to kill, which is 450 rounds per minute. But 450 rounds for a semi-fire weapon is actually very respectable. Also factoring in the bullet velocity is 880, which is going to mean that the hit reg is just so much better on this gun than pretty much any assault rifle in this game. And the time to kill is better than every assault rifle in this game. You're probably better off using an LMR 27 instead of most assault rifles in this game. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say here. If you want to be as accurate as possible whilst getting the fastest time to kill as possible, whilst not really sacrificing too much in terms of a rate of fire, the LMR 27 is actually a very solid gun, and I've been deleted by this gun a ridiculous amount of times than I'd like to admit, to be perfectly honest with you. So this brings me on into organizing for damage, and I don't want to spend too much time on this section because I could discuss this a lot more in detail right here, but I'm going to do it as we go through each of the weapons that I've selected individually as well. But as you can see, the SVK comes out on top, right? Base damage of 66, headshot damage of 99, which is almost always guaranteed, by the way, because someone's taken damage from somewhere before you actually snipe them in the head, which I actually think makes this gun super powerful. The bullet velocity is extremely respectable at 900 meters per second. The rate of fire is 150, but to be honest, you're not really looking to reach the max trigger cap of this gun. You're going to be firing this weapon more slowly to be more accurate with it and make sure you're landing your shots. When it comes to the SVDM, this is the gun where I feel like it's just in a really weird spot. It doesn't feel nearly as good as the rest, and you're almost always better off using the EMR, to be honest with you. Even though the fire rate of the EMR is slightly slower, the bullet velocity just makes up for way more what you actually need at range. So you're probably better off with the EMR, and it has the exact same damage values as well. So essentially you're going to get a 3 shot to the body, or if you land 1 headshot, 1 body shot, you'll get a kill, or if you land 2 headshots, you'll obviously get a kill as well there, which again, the way the marksman rifles are balanced out right now, I think is actually in a not too bad spot. And then like I said, we have the LMR 27 at the very bottom, but obviously that one had the faster time to kill because of the rate of fire. So I'm going to pick out 2 of these marksman rifles in particular, and we're starting off with the SVK. Now, this one's kind of a no-brainer because the amount of damage it can actually output. If you just want raw damage potential, then this gun is going to be the one you want to use. Not to mention the bullet velocity is ridiculously insane, and if you want to compete with a sniper rifle but you don't want to have to deal with the bolt action animations, or you just want to fire a little bit quicker than usual to make sure you get those shots off at range, then the SVK is the gun that you have to use. It is actually an insane gun, and like I said, you're pretty much guaranteed a one-shot headshot if the enemies have taken any kind of damage whatsoever. This could even be fall damage as well. So getting that one-shot headshot is actually more guaranteed than not, in my opinion, and this gun is just really, really powerful. So I actually think the SVK is probably better than some sniper rifles in this game. My second pick is actually EMR, right? And the LMR-27 is a good choice, but is mainly an assault rifle competitor. It's not really a kind of more traditional marksman rifle, and that's why I went for the EMR instead, because this gun actually has a respectable rate of fire that you can pretty much hit the trigger cap of, which I think is pretty good if you do want to use it at closer ranges. The bullet velocity on it is very respectable, especially with a couple of attachments. You can get this right up to 1000 meters per second, which is exactly where you want it to be, potentially above as well. And also just overall, the damage output of this gun just kind of makes sense overall, right? You're going to get one headshot, one body shot, you'll get a kill. If they've taken any sort of damage, then of course one headshot will also help you out a ton there. So like I said, this gun just embodies what it means to be a marksman rifle in this game, and it also is the first one you get your hands on, so it kind of makes sense just to level this one up and get some really good attachments for it when you need it. So to give you a couple of extra tips and to wrap up this video when it comes to the DMRs, and I love this category of weapon, to be honest with you, because the range that the DMRs operate in is exactly where I like to play, kind of slightly further back but not too far back like a sniper rifle. Plus I like to be a bit more aggressive than a sniper rifle, so overall when it comes to these type of weapons I just have really fun playing with them. Now when it comes to the EMR, it's the most balanced out of the bunch, and the best way to play this one is actually alongside a friend that's using a sniper rifle. I think this is the most fun way to play the EMR, because essentially you can hit a shot, the teammate hits a shot, you'll guarantee a kill, or you could do it vice versa. They land a shot, maybe they don't land a headshot, and you can finish off the kill. It works so well in that combination because the bullet velocity is going to reach those same distances as a sniper, but you're obviously more aggressive, and if you're trying to push forward, you can be more aggressive with the EMR, like I said, compared to something like the SVK, and that's why I like this gun probably the most out of the bunch, to be honest with you. But overall, like I said, it is a very solid weapon. The LMR-27 is exactly what I said it was earlier on. It's a direct competitor to assault rifles. Don't try and use this like a marksman rifle. Use this like an assault rifle and basically try and reach that max trigger cap and get that time to kill value, because if you hit it, you're going to get some of the most insane time to kills at range that people will just think you absolutely deleted them and they won't even know how you did it. And that is how many times I've died to this gun. It feels ridiculous every single time, and you don't expect it every single time. So the LMR-27 is still a really solid weapon in general for this game. I just don't think it's a traditional marksman rifle. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. When it comes to the SVK, this is exactly, like I said, a direct sniper competitor. So if you're trying to 1v1 a sniper rifle, then this is the exact gun you want to be using. You're going to have a slightly faster fire rate. You're going to have the high damage and the high bullet velocity to back it up as well. Overall, really strong. When it comes to the marksman rifles as a whole, though, you want to make sure that you are kind of at that medium to long range when you're using them, because you can't really be super close unless you're using the LMR. Even then, you probably will get outgunned by an SMG. And also on top of that, make sure you make use of going prone and also crouching as well. That will reduce a lot of the recoil of these weapons. And not to mention, make sure you use a lot of the attachments that help with precision. And the reason why I'm talking about precision and not control, because recoil doesn't really matter with these guns too much, especially with the ones that fire a little bit slower. You're going to be kind of firing them slowly anyway, and you won't actually notice the recoil of these guns in general. What you do want to happen though is to make sure there's less bloom, so the bullets are going exactly where you're aiming. That's more important than the recoil control of these weapons. So when you are making these builds, and we have gave you some suggested builds throughout this video, then make sure you're focusing more towards precision and reducing the bloom than the actual recoil control itself. But like I said, that is all the information I can give you for this video. If you enjoyed it and you learned something new, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be making more Battlefield 6 content. I was about to say Battlefield 4 there, but like I said, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.